Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Media and Technology Studies Education information session for the online Masters of Education program. I'm Dr. Jillian Code, and we're just going to start up a little presentation here. If you've never been in a Zoom webinar before, I'd be surprised at this point if you haven't, but please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A session Q&A icons at the bottom to ask any questions. We will have time at the end for some questions, so please feel free to post them there. You are in as participants, so you aren't able to turn on your microphones or anything like that, so it's text only. So please use those facilities. I'm just going to start a presentation and share my screen here. Can you see that okay, Yvette? Just checking before I proceed.
Yes, I can.
Great. As I said, this is the information session for the MEd Online Media and Technology Studies Education program. And I am Dr. Jillian Code. I'm an assistant professor and program director of the online program in the Faculty of Education in Department of Curriculum and Pedagogy. With us today is Dr. Stephen Petrina, professor in Media Technology Studies Education. Did you want to introduce yourself quickly, Steve?
Hi, everyone. Welcome, and great to see you here this evening. And we look forward to working with you. Thank you. Thanks, Jillian.
You're welcome. And also with us today is Yvette Karube. She is a senior program assistant, and so she's going to be one of our main points of contact throughout this, throughout the program.
Hi, everyone. I'll be covering the admissions and application process after Jillian's presentation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, and play here at UBC is on the traditional ancestral unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Peoples. I do live on campus, and so I do try to spend as much time as I can outside, but also recognizing and with gratitude that I am here and working and playing on this land. So just an overview today, what we're going to go through is going to give you a little bit of background of the host department. So the who's actually who's designed this program, as well as an introduction and an overview of what Media and Technology Studies Education is and who this program has been designed for. And we'll run through a schedule of courses and the timeline for the program, as well as I'll hand the baton over to Yvette to talk about the application process and tuition and the logistical elements. So the Media and Technology Studies Education area and the technology education area, I think some of you who are on the line took technology education at UBC with Dr. Petrina and myself or others, is in the Department of Curriculum and Pedagogy, which is part of the Faculty of Education. But the EdCP is what it's shortened to, is a department that looks at really advancing research in learning and teaching in a variety of contexts. So we look at curriculum areas in public education, from social studies to physical education, to media and technology studies, to science education, math education, you name it. So any of the methodology courses that you likely would have taken in your BEd are run through our department. The media and technology studies area is really meant to focus on learning, research, and teaching in, through, and about media and technology. And so that includes, not exclusively, but it includes applications of design of digital and physical processes and works, as well as their economics, history, philosophy, and psychology. So we really do spend a lot of time and looking at the physical design of the world and of things, and research into that, as well as the virtual and the digital. Dr. Petrina, did you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, thank you.
Okay, just checking. Part of the our development of the MTSC online program and our regular stream program as well is really trying to build on existing connections and within the BC various BC provincial initiatives. So applied learning, as you know, has become an integral part of all of BC's curricula, and so which has culminated in the applied design skills and technologies area that kind of transcends and intersects many different subjects. And so our program is meant to help bridge the divide between what you may have learned or what students might have maybe less exposure to, and provide you with advanced study in these areas. So looking at the designing, making, acquiring, and applying skills and technologies, especially as we move into the future, which is increasingly important for students and teachers alike. Our program is offered in a cohort format, so we will be accepting I think up to about 21, 22 students, it depends. But it's going to be offered in a cohort way. So you'll be largely together with the same group of people. It will be fully online. And we've decided to run the online, run this program in a cohort because we really hope to engage educators locally and around the world in a way that we can really facilitate long-lasting connections and engage in these really deep conversations. In addition, there is opportunity for electives, and so you can take these electives online or face-to-face whenever we are allowed to actually participate and do face-to-face classes again at UBC in any area, but also if there is a course that you would like to take in any other university, recognized university in Western Canada, through something that's called the Western Dean's Agreement. So you could take something, you know, at University of Victoria or wherever, or further abroad across Canada through what we have as the Graduate Exchange Agreement. So there's lots of opportunity for building on the foundations of what we provide in our program, but also to specialize a little bit or explore various options. So who is this program meant for? Well, master's program is really ideal for teachers specializing in computer science, ICT, technology education, but also more generally teachers within the ADST cluster in BC schools, but also if you are interested in ADST or any of these areas as well. So the program timeline, so we've designed it so that it can be completed in about 2.5 years. So the first course will be offered in September of 2021. And it's our Introduction to Curriculum Issues and Theories. And then we follow that, at least this is our tentative schedule for now. It's History of Media and Technology in Education. And then our program is also part of our larger science and technology, engineering and mathematics, our STEM cohort. We have several online programs that are part of this STEM cohort. So we have one course that is, we are looking at keeping the same across all of them. So we can look at ADST or applying ADST in math and science teaching and learning with technology. So that's why that course is there. And then we also have in the summer of 2022, looking at digital media and ICT in education. So looking at the design and pedagogy of digital media in education. And then another one of our core required courses for all of our master's programs is research methodologies in education. So what does it mean to inquire and examine, perhaps in an action research way, depending on your context, and how to do that in a methodologically sound way. And so that's why the Edu 500 is there. We also offer in January of 2023 a seminar in the teaching of ICT. This is our Media and Technology Studies Education seminar course, and the topics often vary. Currently, I'm actually running an iteration of this course on critical thinking in the age of social media. So happens to be kind of timely right now. And so there's a lot to really delve into there. Then we have in the summer, you have the opportunity to take a couple of electives, and so that's really up to you what you want to take. And then in rounding out the summer of 2023, we have a video ethnography course looking at culture, technology, and interpretation using video. Then everything culminates in your graduating paper, your graduating project in the fall of 2023. And at the end of that is you are finished. So that you will complete in December 2023. And so, and then that would qualify you for June 2024 convocation. I can't believe I'm saying 2024. It's pretty crazy. So here's the schedule at a glance, just to give you a better idea of what we're looking at. And I think that's, I'm going to pass it over to you now, Yvette. And we can come back to this. I can post it up if we're wanting to have questions there.
Does anyone have any questions for Jillian at this point?
I can't see. No? Okay, I'll stop sharing. Pass it over to you.
I'll start. Okay.
Okay.
Just one moment.
Oh.
There is one question. What kinds of graduating projects are typical in this program?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. I see that it's Mia asking that question, and I see Erin has a question too, so I'll come back to that. The kinds of projects students complete. One of the projects, just as an example, student looked at digital media or social media and its impacts on student teachers. And so everything from that. Steve, do you have some examples of past technology education?
I do. It's a great question. And we've had 3 different cohorts that are very similar to this, although not online. And And each of the cohorts had about, let's say 18 to 20 students. We have really good examples, about 60 really good examples to share with you. And what I'll do is as Yvette moves through her presentation and summary of some of the demands for applications, what I'll do is I'll just post up on chat some of the titles of the graduating projects that students who were they were once in your shoes or once in this very similar program. You'll get a sense, I think, from the titles of the types of things we do. And it's and both Jillian and I welcome a extremely wide range of different projects and ideas, and work with you with within your context or your professional needs, professional interests, and so on and so forth. So how about that, Jillian? I'll just post a few examples.
Sure, that sounds good. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Also, Erin had a question about what types of courses count as electives. Pretty much anything, as long as it's an accredited course that we can transfer in. So if you wanted to take a class in journalism, for example, you could go into journalism here at UBC, or if you wanted to do, library science or anything. We have a number of electives that are offered online as well. So you could take, I'm just thinking, any course that UBC offers, you can take. You could even take a senior undergraduate class. It just has to be in the a 400 level for it to transfer in. And so anything you can think of, absolutely. Steve, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, and Jillian had mentioned that this particular program now online is in a larger context of our STEM disciplines. And so we have a science program online, we have a math education program online, and we also have a museum education program online. And so we also have, there's possibilities for you to take electives within those online cohorts. We've also in the past have had students, in the cohorts who had really liked and enjoyed working with each other and had recommended an elective, that you could, that you could propose to Dr. Code, who's coordinating, and she could bring it to the faculty, and we could discuss whether or not that would be, to your advantage to take an elective together. But the sky's the limit, as Jillian had said.
It's a great question. We actually do have a couple of questions here that might be more related to some of the technical pieces. And so maybe, can you see the questions, Yvette? Then maybe I'll hang on to those.
Yes, I can.
Okay. We can answer them, or did you want to, we can move ahead.
One question was about having, I believe, a 3-year degree and have attended BCIT for the teacher education program that they have there. A 3-year degree is still acceptable. However, since grad studies is looking for a 4-year undergraduate degree, you would be considered a special case, in which case, if the admissions committee feels you are a good candidate for the program, then they will write what is called a special case rationale on your behalf, recommending you to grad studies to be admitted to the program.
Yeah, and we've done that in the past with their past cohorts as well. I think also the question though here is that because these students finished with the bachelor's, the BCIT TT-Ed students finished with a Bachelors of Education degree. So wouldn't that qualify them? I'm just curious. Just wanted to clarify that.
Qualify them for the program?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I will have to take a look at the transcripts. I don't want to say anything definite here. I'd have to take a look at the transcripts and then let the applicant know.
Okay. I think the general answer would be yes, but we may need to just do a little bit extra work on our side if we feel that you are a strong candidate. The other question here, and Steve, this we might need your help with this one, is they asked that in earlier on-campus iterations of the MTSE program options were open for students to pursue a wider range of possibilities, for example, an MA in MTSE. Is there any room to deviate from the current path that we've outlined? So we have a specific, course flow, things like that, but is there room to transition to an MA?
Well, that's another great question. I know Yvette will have an answer to that as well. Given that we have designed this as a cohort, an MED cohort, the terminal degree is the Masters of Education in Media and Technology Studies education. We can accommodate MA students through other channels into the cohort and into various courses, but it would be a different type of admissions process. It's a great question, and Jillian and I and others in the department have always talked and wished we could put together a full cohort of MA students, but this particular program is designed for the MED students, and the courses and so on and so on, the demands are not so different, but they do differ enough. But at any rate, the fee scheduling and everything, as Yvette will move you through, that's all designed for the MED rather cohort. So, okay, thanks.
Good questions. Excellent questions. Alana asked a question. Can we also do that graduating paper in the summer and graduate early? You're a real go-getter, Alana. I suppose you probably could give it your best shot.
In terms of cohorts, there's a set number of installments that must be paid. So, and then you have to be registered each term as well. It's pretty much set up so that you move as a group to the end of the program. So graduating early is not like it's not happened, but in a cohort type of program, you would be moving through it with a group of students.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think we've got these questions answered so far. So why don't we move into some of the logistics?
Sure.
Yvette, thank you.
One moment. Jillian?
Yep.
I need you to make me the host.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So welcome everyone to the program, and I'm going to cover the admission requirements. My name is Yvette, and I'm the Senior Program Assistant providing the application and admission support, as well as student support when you're in the program. So again, this is an online program. Just give me a moment here. And I'm going to cover these admission requirements and do an application overview, as well as cover the cost and take any questions that you have at the end. So again, program contacts is Dr. Code and myself. So what we're looking for is a 4-year undergraduate degree with a B+, which is 76% at UBC in all of your senior level courses, which is 300 level and above. Or if you are in the B range and you have a B.Ed degree, then you would also be considered as meeting the GPA requirement for the program. If, however, you do not meet the GPA requirement, the admissions committee can write what is called a special case rationale on your behalf, recommending you to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies for admission. We ask that you order 2 official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions you've attended, with the exception of UBC. We ask that you open one and upload your transcript front and back in a single file as a PDF. The back page typically has the grading key that I need to calculate your GPA. If you've participated in an exchange program or have received transfer of credit from schools, we also need to see those transcripts. We're also looking for 1 to 2 years of teacher education in an educational context, or a 4-year bachelor's degree in education. And in special circumstances, teacher education may be waived for those applicants who have a university degree with sufficient standing and experience related to their field of study. Jillian, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, I think we're sorry. No, I think we're okay.
Okay. We're also asking you to provide a resume, which includes your education, employment history, volunteer work, committee work. You know, if you have any publications, newsletters, workshops that you've attended, please add it onto your resume and you would be uploading it to the application. We're also looking for a 600-word statement of intent of your applied design skills and technology experience, and your professional goals and what you hope to get out of the program. Do you have anything to add, Jillian, with regards to statement of intent?
Just to highlight that this part is really important for us to get an idea of why you want to do the master's program and what you want to get out of it, and is part of what Dr. Petrina and I and our admissions committee will to help us advocate or understand where you're coming from. And so that part is, it's just really important for you to spend some time on that, for sure.
We're also looking for 3 references, 1 academic and 2 professional references. And your professional references should be from people who have supervised you. And we ask that you use the e-reference system. So when you fill out the referee information on your application and you submit your application, an e-reference link goes out to your referees. They can use the form provided, or they can upload their own letter, and instructions are provided to them on how to do it. Now, say you have a retired professor that is no longer working in an institution, then they can mail a hard copy to the pdce office, and I have the address there, but I could also send it to you by email. However, they have to sign the seal on the flap of the envelope for it to be valid. So be sure, if to tell your referees, if they choose to send us a hard copy, then the seal on the flap of the envelope should be signed. Now, applicants from a university outside of Canada in which English is not the primary language of instruction must provide results of an English language proficiency examination as part of their application. Tests must have been taken within the last 24 months at the time of submission of your application. Please contact me if this applies to you. Now, to apply, the website is grad.ubc.ca/apply/online. And when you do the program search, you would select MTSE or MEd in Media and Technology Studies Education Professional Cohort with a September start. Now, if you've attended UBC previously, please use the UBC ID that you had. In that way, your application will populate your UBC record. And please upload all of your supporting documents, your resume, your transcripts, and your statement of intent. Now, the online application is open. The deadline is March 1st. The application fee is $108 for domestic applicants and $168 and change Canadian for international applicants. And international applicants applies to those who are not Canadian citizens or permanent residents of Canada. So the domestic tuition fee installment is currently $22.06 and change plus student fees. And the current program tuition cost total is currently a little over $15,000 plus student fees. Now, the student fees were approximately $750 from September to December last year, but they tend to vary from term to term, so they lessen as the year goes on. But it is always on top of the tuition portion. And for international students, the current tuition fee installment is $22.93 and change Canadian plus student fees. And the international program tuition cost is currently a little over $16,000 plus student fees. Now we're looking at 7 installments, which is 7 terms. That's 3 terms per year. The summer term is broken into 2, but it's considered as 1 term. And so the installments would be September to December, January to April, and then May to August. Now, typically UBC reserves the right to raise the fees once per year, and typically they do that in May, and I believe last year was about 3%. Now, the tuition is charged as a whole program fee and not a per credit fee. So when you're taking your elective courses at UBC or through the Western Dean's Agreement, or I believe GREX, which is another agreement that we have with institutions, then the tuition portion is covered through your program fee. So for the student fees, there are 2 fees that you may be able to opt out of. One is the medical dental fee, which is currently $264 and change per year. And there's temporary opt-out and permanent opt-out. If you already have coverage, that's a possible savings for you on your tuition. It's charged once per year, and if you do accept it, it would cover you from September to August 31st of the following year. Now, there's also the Compass card, which is also known as the UPass, and that applies to those who live in the greater Vancouver area. And what it does, it would cover you for 3 zones, and there is a cost of $170 per term. Even though this is an online program, if you live in the Greater Vancouver area, you would still have to pay that fee. If, however, you live outside of the Vancouver Lower Mainland, you could apply for exemption from that fee each term, and that is another possible savings on your tuition. Teacher education certificates. This is directed to teachers in the Vancouver Lower Mainland that have taken UBC students in their classrooms as student teachers. If this applies to you, please contact the Teacher Education Office. Now, these certificates are also another way that you could save on your tuition. Your colleagues may have them, and you may want to ask them if they've expired, if you can use them, and that would be applied to your tuition. So another possible savings. The Teacher Education Office can provide you with more information. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Does anyone have any questions?
Julian actually had a really great question. And I think this was, we might have addressed it earlier, but asking about what about the technology teacher education students, these who do not have a 4-year undergraduate degree, would their BCIT diploma and 30 credits count towards, would that count with respect to applying for a master's program?
I would have to take a look at the transcripts.
Yeah, to make
and then get back to you.
Yeah. Steve did reply, and he said generally that
Yeah,
it is acceptable. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem, Julian. Yeah, absolutely. You'll have to, of course, have either your BED in hand or pending for the BED. This particular cohort, the BED students will finish in August, and so, but we would accept anyone in September, given all other variables that Yvette and Jillian had indicated for the application. But yeah, no, it's perfect. We've accepted many and plenty of BCIT students, just like yourself and colleagues.
That's great. I'm just looking to see if there's any additional questions here. Nobody. Okay. Well, I guess if there aren't any pending or burning questions that haven't been answered, please feel free. I would start my video again, but I can't, but that's okay. Please feel free to reach out to myself, Yvette, or Dr. Petrina to find out some more information about admissions, but also anything like that. Oh, Julian has another question. Julian, you're full of questions today. Here we go. It's full of beans. Julian asked, would there ever be a chance of this becoming an in-person master's? Good question, Julian. With the design of the program is online. This particular cohort program is online. That being said, you would have, with the elective courses, you do have the opportunity to take those face-to-face. So if you wanted to come out to UBC or to another institution and have those courses transferred for credit for this program, then you can certainly do that. So there would be some opportunity there. We do have a non-cohort MEd and MA program as well. And those are generally have been offered face-to-face, but this particular program is designed specifically online to accommodate working teachers and others who may want to participate or take the program. Great question, Jules. Will this video be available to access later? Yes.
Yes, it will be posted on the program website under Information Sessions tab.
Great, thank you. And do we get a copy of the slide deck for the information, cost, date, etc.? All of that is up on the website, is it not, Yvette?
Yes, it will be, but the fees will change, likely will change this year. And so it would be different but when you start in September.
Okay.
Not by much, likely, but it may change.
Okay, but so yeah, ballparking it, generally speaking, that's what it
yes,
would
I
be.
always say approximately. Mm-hmm.
A question from Amelia about are there any opportunities for student grants to cover tuition? Sorry.
Unfortunately, for part-time master's programs at UBC, there are no grants, scholarships, and bursaries for these programs, cohort programs.
That's the only thing about being part-time. Steve, you had a...
Yeah, just on that, as Yvette said, there's nothing we can fund from a campus source, but of course, students, domestic, international, can look, in any number of different places for funding for their studies, external to the university, that is, as Yvette noted, but within, for part-time students, you wouldn't be eligible for, there may be one or two small things for funds. Would have to, Julianne and I could look closely at that, but I think for the most part, as Yvette said, it's almost, across the board. If you're part-time, you're ineligible for funding on campus. Externally, again, you can find what you can find to help fund. We support in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Stephanie had a question, Yvette, in the chat about the credits, transferable credits from hosting a student teacher. If
I would suggest that you contact the teacher education office for details.
Okay. Yeah, and they also asked. She also asked about whether a colleague has some that they will be using. Those can be transferable. Those are all questions for the TEO.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just a note on that, because we have so many teachers hosting our student teachers, our teacher candidates for practicum. The process for those teachers who have the certificates after hosting, the process is really smooth. It's a very, very smooth process. And so, as Yvette said and Jillian said, just touch base with the TEO, and there's a procedure for that, but it's an extremely smooth procedure.
Thanks, Steve. Are there any other questions, concerns, or comments? Thank you, Stephanie. You too. Great. Okay. If there aren't any additional questions, I don't see anything coming up in the Q&A or in the chat. Thank you all for taking this time out of your afternoon, early evening to listen to us and for your interest in taking our master's cohort. Like I said earlier, if you wanted to be in touch with me, please do so at jillian.code@ubc.ca, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I'm also, I know I posted this in the BC Tech Ed Association Facebook, so if you have any questions, you can also DM me from there as well, and I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to the information session.
Great, thank you, and have a great evening and stay safe.